I actually don't have wax in my ears. I've always amazed the doctors when I was a kid. Nothing.
New fact about Josh. He never has had wax in his ears.
Head wax.
I mean, everybody's got some wax, but
You just said you don't.
I actually don't have wax in my ears.
We unfortunately have not been graced with the presence here recording from Josh Brewer in a little bit of time now. We did see him this morning ourselves personally. We had breakfast with him, which I'm glad I did not put any money down on any bet going on this morning because I would have lost that so hard. So Aaron's like, okay, hey, let's have breakfast because we're going to have a Mexican themed cookout tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I'll bring the tamales. And so Aaron's like, oh, let's go get barbacoa. So like, all right, cool. And then he invites Peter, he invites Josh along, and we're talking like, hey, what time? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, they open at 7. I'm like,
Trying to be there at 7.
I'm like, geez, Louise.
No.
And so he's like, yeah, I told them Peter and Josh I'd pick them up around 7, and then I was like, okay, I'll just meet you up there like 7:30 then, around there. And then he messaged me, says, oh yeah, I just picked up Peter going to Josh's. And I go, let me know when you leave with Josh, because I'm thinking you're gonna have to wait there for like 15-20 minutes while he does his hair or something. And I was like, and I almost was like, I bet you $20 he's not gonna be ready. I would have lost if I had put money down on that, because he apparently was waiting for you.
Waiting for me. So yeah, okay, we had storms. Okay.
That's what I hear. I woke up, I was like, oh look, there was some rain last night.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised. I saw there's a couple trees. Well, not trees down, but there's some rather hefty limbs down from some trees in the neighborhood. But yeah, on the way out there was some trees out on the main, I guess, road 31, whatever. And I mean, and the power was out too, so there was a few more stops that happened. But then also it was me. It was just getting out of the house. As soon as I was about to walk out the door, my niece is over and on the phone with her mom, so my sister, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to talk to mom for a minute?" And I was like, "Okay." So then I started talking to my sister and all that stuff. So I mean, by the time I got done with that, I was surprised I still made it to Peter's house by like 7:00. So I was there for that. But then, yeah, by the time we got to Josh's, he was standing out in his garage door, just like,
hands on his hips, looking a little distraught and a little upset
like
at you.
Upset old man kind of thing.
All you need to do is put him like in khaki shorts that go up to like his chest, a long polo shirt, socks that goes up to his knees, and and some glasses, and he'd just sit there scowling at you.
I thought, did he have khaki shorts on? Or was that? I don't know. Yeah,
you have pictures of him on bicycles from today?
Not bicycles, motorcycle.
Okay, bicycles with motors.
Yep.
Same thing.
You know what? Fine. Actually, I don't have any of. Well, yeah, I do, but you can't. Never mind. I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
But no, yeah, he was waiting on me. Of course, it was one of the few times that happens.
I know. And then you guys, and like I was honestly prepared, like in my head, I was like, okay, he still has to pick up Josh. I have a little extra time, but he's like, oh, I already got Josh. I'm like,
oh yeah,
crap, I got to go faster than I was planning on. And they actually beat me up from Racine to the Mexicana and got there just a few minutes before me. But
yeah. I
was like,
because by the time I saw your message, I mean, we were probably already 10 minutes into the drive or so.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, but even then I was still like, oh dang it. Josh, I was anticipating more time from you. I was hoping that
y'all let me down.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless of the fact, that's just more random shenanigans happening. And then I left them after breakfast. And I went and took a post barbacoa nap for a little bit, and then they went and
Did some motorcycle shopping and some music store stopping and got some Starbucks and
Yeah, what else did
yeah,
you do?
got
Eh.
some custard.
Custard. You guys actually went to Cobb's?
We got a Scoopy.
Oh my
The
goodness.
flavor of the day was too good.
Because if you didn't fill up enough on barbacoa, let's add custard and Starbucks and everything else to it. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, I'm good for the day.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Definitely sounds like it. But the barbacoa enough will be good for the day just with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that sounds like an entertaining day. I enjoyed my nap. I put my post barbacoa nap.
Yeah, I'll enjoy my nap here in a little bit. So
maybe. It sounds like you still got a busy day for the rest of the day.
I do.
Regardless of the fact,
Mhm.
that's not what we're going to be chatting about today. Although Aaron and his phrasing of things at times is a little suspicious when he goes, "Would you like to see this?" And I'm like, "No, it's not the way you phrased it. No."
Oh no. Yeah.
And we're just gonna leave it at that. We'll put it that way. So that way Aaron doesn't get targeted by someone and be like, "We need to scan your phones."
No,
for what
it's
you
okay.
have."
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I know.
It's all good.
It just the phrasing was a little awkward.
That's what I love doing most.
Yep.
Almost.
I fully get it. I understand sometimes it's entertaining to do that, but there is a limit at which you do that phrasing and then you just go, "You know what? I'm gonna back off for a second."
That's why it all depends on who you're with. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
do it with the people you trust, and then you find out otherwise, and then stop.
And then you find out one of those people is an undercover Fed and you're arrested.
Oh no.
Who knows? Regardless of that, again, that's not what we're chatting about. No. Aaron makes it entertaining, could make just about anything entertaining in and of itself because, well, if you haven't met him in real life, he is Aaron. And
this is about as good as it gets.
Aaron's in real life tend to be a little on the weird side. Tend to be on the, I don't know, how the heck do you get your voice that high pitched side? And why does your beard look like Jack Murphy's side?
You know what? You know what? It's funny is when you talk about the whole voice thing. I got asked that at a wedding I was at last weekend because I had a speech.
Did it go better than Josh's speech?
Much better. It was short and sweet. I don't even think it was more than 3 minutes, maybe 5 at most. The people laughed a decent amount, so that made me feel better about it. But yeah, it was. I was talking to some people I knew afterwards, and like, how do you get your voice so high? And I was like, I just get nervous, and then my voice just climbs way up there, and it just happens. I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah, I just you just need to get your beard a little bit straighter on the sides,
straight, and then have the lovely light sides there.
The white on the sides. Yeah. But you're close. You're close to Jack Murphy. Congratulations. As much as you want or not want to have that.
Makes me so happy.
But what we were talking about, or what we will be talking about here, is something that, I don't know, I had thought about it because I find this a very unusual phenomenon in the modern world. Say that word 5 million times. Phenomenon. Yeah, exactly. Say that over and over and over again. Eventually you'll be like, just like I try saying things and I go,
phenomenon.
Yeah. Regardless, the thing that I was thinking about was, why do we, the people that should love yourself the most, because you always hear in school about self-esteem, love yourself, be who you are, be the rainbow that you are. No. We're always told to, you hear that in like elementary school from like the youngest of ages nowadays, where it's, love yourself for who you are, da 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 da. But in reality, and often truth and unfortunateness, I guess you could say as well, we're usually the ones that hate ourselves the most.
We are our own biggest critics.
Well, I mean, it goes beyond just
Which,
being critics at
well,
times. It goes into, literally self-loathing of our own self.
right. I guess it's in my mind. I'm just thinking when I get critical about myself, it's easy to get into a just very negative outlook on myself, and it's very easy to from there dive deeper and get more upset about me, myself, and I, and all this other stuff.
Me,
So,
myself, and I.
yeah.
What? Interesting that you say me, myself, and I.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the different personalities that I have to deal with.
Oh boy. What sort of personalities are inside Aaron's head?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know, because that could be an entertainment thing just in and of itself.
Also concerning.
Well, yes,
I'm
also
kidding.
very concerning, but
No, I'm kidding. I'm okay. At least that one person of me is okay.
that one person. Oh man. I laugh at that, but
I
at the
know,
same
there's-
time, that is a real thing that
It
does
is a very
happen
real thing.
to people, and people
it's
really
tough.
do deal with associative
What's
identity
that?
disorder.
What is? Yeah, I was trying to think of what that was even called.
The
Well,
colloquial
multi-personality.
term is multi-personality disorder. Where it's
Which, how does that even happen?
well,
In all honesty, like, how does that start, or where does that come from?
some people, where that comes from is from, let's say, they were abused as a child. They saw something very traumatic.
Yeah.
And what they will literally do is compartmentalize part of their personality into one area, and then that way they can handle that abuse in a way. That's their own mind's psychological defense to be able to handle that.
Interesting.
That's why, you'll have some people who maybe have been, maybe they weren't abused themselves, but maybe they viewed like their parents being abused, like their mother being abused, very traumatic situation, right? And that part of their personality will be locked in as like a little kid still. Because, that's what they saw, and that's how their brain it damaged them so much. It literally caused them to kind of split and compartmentalize various pieces of them. Or maybe, it's someone who is engaged in an activity that they know they shouldn't be doing, and they compartmentalize part of their personality just into that. So, for example, I'm just giving an example here, just off the top of my head here. Someone who, maybe wants to try to follow the Bible, or, they want to try to follow religious set of rules, if they're not Christian, right?
Yeah.
But so they have this, this, I guess you could say, this personality, this image, this who they are, Monday through, Friday, and Saturday they're
Somebody completely.
They're someone completely different.
Wouldn't that just be a hypocrite?
Well, it's a hypocrite, right?
Right.
Yes, but it also is a way they can compartmentalize off their personality, so that it's literally their different personality, so they don't feel that guilt, and then they go back to whatever it is Sunday.
That's so strange to me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, unless you're actually dealing with it, it's going to be hard to
understand.
be able to understand that.
Yeah.
And being able to compartmentalize, again, a lot of it comes with that whole abuse mentality, not a mentality, but thing that has happened to them, where they, like I said, maybe they were a kid, they got abused, or they saw their parents get abused. And that was their brain's self-defense in order to keep them, I guess you could say, as safe as possible from seeing all these traumatic things going on around them or going on to them. If, that was a defensive survival mechanism, I could see that very easily. And that is the case for some people like this.
Yeah.
Other people, it could either, unfortunately, we have seen in the past where other people have faked it. And we've also seen in the past where other things, the unknown triggers, cause that to happen. It does happen, Now, there's always debate, like how, how many personalities in that, and are they all real? Blah blah blah. That is honestly going to have to be on a case by case basis with everyone involved.
Mhm.
Now obviously you have some people on TikTok trying to get like famous off of it, and they say, "Oh, one of their personalities is a cat," and you just sit there and go, "Really? You're trivializing someone's actual issues that they are having that may have been caused by trauma or abuse to get famous on a little app because, oh, everyone look at me. I'm a cat."
Give me money.
I'm just like, really? Okay.
Yeah. People are sick.
So, but that's multi-personality disorder. That's a
Yeah.
very extreme, I guess you could say, response why we don't, I guess you could say, like ourselves. Why we hate ourselves the
Oh, geez,
most.
yeah.
Like one of the things you said, that critical self um deprecation thought,
Mhm.
that you're your own worst enemy, essentially. You're your own worst critic. Yeah, that is part of it. That
Yeah.
can be part of
That's
it. But
that's generally
but
true when it comes to a lot of stuff. Well, I guess I guess I think of it more so. Yeah, gosh, and see, yeah, I'm already doing it now. Dang nabbit. I say like being a musician.
okay.
Like if I ever like I write something on guitar and then I decide to get the guts to show a friend like, hey, what do you think about this? And then play this elementary guitar thing that I play, and then like they might like it, but then I'm already like saying, well, like the whole cool things, but then I was like, but I don't like this, or there's something else that I don't like about what I'm doing. What can I do better? So it's like very easy for me to already shoot down what somebody already might think is pretty cool, but I'm already saying, oh, it's not that great though.
Mhm.
It's not that good. Somebody can do it better.
Let me ask you this question,
Yeah, okay.
because what you're describing right now is you're being self-critical, right?
Mhm.
Is there a difference between being self-critical and hating yourself? And at what point does it go from being, because
Yeah,
let's be honest here.
I would say there's a difference.
Let's be honest. The famous phrase, "To be fair."
To be fair,
Okay, to be fair, there is a healthy relationship to be critical of yourself to an extent where,
yeah,
and what I mean by that is this, where you don't get up and you do something and you think, "Oh, I am the best at this
dude.
that has ever existed and no one will ever be better." That, being
When you get haughty and cocky about your
yeah,
own,
that's the opposite of this, where you don't take any self inventory and self criticize and be like, "Hey, you know what? I can do better on this by working on
Mhm.
this, and this."
Right.
Instead, where you're just going, "Hey, yeah, I can do all
Dude,
this."
I got this, man. Yeah, I remember when I first started drums, I thought, oh, like, I'll have stuff down in like 6 weeks. I'll be able to play it all as
Mhm.
a silly little 7-year-old kid. Um, but like, so yeah, it's
And it's good to have dreams, to be want to be good at what you're doing too.
right. Yeah. Um, so as far as like just being, I guess, one that's taking criticism well, especially if there's any given,
Mhm.
um, because that's, I don't know. It is funny how it's like that's always like one of the most frightening things. I guess I'm sure it's for everybody because I know it's not just me because that would be ridiculous. But it's like when you show somebody something that you've created or made or that you're have some or pretty decently proud about, maybe I suppose. I don't know.
Mhm.
As soon as you get that criticism, it um it can be easy to let that just uh really mess with your head, I suppose, to the point of where you just give up. I'm done. I can't. I'm not good enough for this. And let that kind of thought process get in your head. Where I guess what I try and always remind myself of is like everybody had to start somewhere. Everybody's not amazing at this task the first few times, or it doesn't even
Right.
have to be the first few. It can be many times. As
And
long as there's that progression, it's like you're doing good. Keep it up. But it's so easy to be like, "Oh, I suck. I can't do this. I'm not as good as this person, and why do I even bother trying anymore?" And all that kind of stuff.
And that's healthy self-evaluation.
Not what I was just saying, but the getting better thing.
Right, the getting better
Yes,
thing is that it's
not
that
giving up.
it's that healthy self-evaluation there that's good. And you can be critical of yourself, be like,
Yeah,
now, it obviously can easily tip over into the whole point of where it's bad, where
yeah.
you're just sitting there going, "Idiot, idiot, idiot, I'm an
You
idiot."
suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think there's that balance there
Mhm.
between that because we can, you know, we can be we need to be realistic about what we're good at and what we're not good at. But at the same time, we also
Mhm.
need to not be in such a point where we're always cutting ourselves down
Mhm.
because it is easy,
Yep.
beyond easy, to just literally go, "Yeah, you know what? I suck at this." And it was entertaining while reading some articles on this. They're like, "Hey, you know what you should do if you're like going like, oh, I really suck at this," or like in this case, like your guitar music that you're like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I came up with this cool thing." They're like, "Find a 4-year-old that you know." No,
Yeah.
don't go up to a random 4-year-old. That's creepy. Okay.
"Hey, kid, you like this?"
Yeah, just make sure you don't have candy in the van and you're okay. Okay. But anyways, go up to like a 4-year-old, something like that, maybe one of your nieces or something like that, and
Mm.
go
Well, I
and,
only
and
have one.
well, I know, and play it for them and be like, "What do you think?" Kids are honest. They are brutally honest sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that, and they can also be fascinated by nothing, so
Well, I know, but here's the thing.
But no, yes,
If
there's
if what you're playing them is truly horrible, more likely the kid's gonna go, "I
I
don't
don't like
I
that.
don't like that, that kinda sucks." But if it's even marginally good, even where in your own head you're thinking, "Oh, this
Yes.
sucks, and I suck, and I should just stop all my music, and I should quit everything regarding
Yes.
this." The kid's gonna go like, "Oh, that's kinda cool."
That's neat.
And they're gonna give you a little more honest review on that. And I found that concept, that idea of finding like a 4 or 5-year-old that that whole
Mhm.
innocence of a child where they're still gonna be brutally honest in a regard. I found that kind of refreshing and kinda nice at the same time. I was like,
Right.
"That's interesting," because that's someone outside of you giving you feedback on something that you're doing.
Mhm.
And you can't manipulate that anyway. You can't go, "Well, the kid was just being nice because they're my, niece or whatever." It's
We're
like
family, they gotta tolerate
it's like,
me.
"No, that's a 4-year-old. They don't care if you're family or not. They're gonna tell you if you suck."
This was good or this was bad, and that's yeah, it is it's great to have those friends that are not children, that are honest with you about stuff like that.
Yeah.
'Cause then I would say, yeah, I definitely have it a few and this is where, oh man, I could probably be better at doing this myself, but especially when it comes to, like, music stuff, but then I always think of music as like, well, mm, I mean, I guess just art in general is a very individual kinda thing. To where something might be good to me, you could say, but then, like, I don't know, if I ask a friend, "Oh, what do you think?" Well, and again, yeah, it depends on what they like. So, if I go to one of my buddies that's a big country person, I play them this crazy, like, metal heavy
Mhm.
riff, and they're like, "What do you think of that?" I'd be like, No." But then so I'd be like, "You don't know what you're talking about." But, that's where I guess for me, it's tough with music and artsy sort of stuff to some degree. Um, but I guess when it comes to that kind of stuff, if it's something I don't like, I was like, "Well, I might not like it, but somebody else might like
Right.
it." It can be a tough one to really narrow down, but you can tell when somebody is good at something versus not so great at something. And that's where I mean, you can hopefully just lead them in a direction and be like, "Hey, maybe this will help you get better with it." But yeah, that's whatever. That's random
Mhm.
side stuff. But yeah, to have that brutal honesty as a kid, it's a for from a kid, it's good.
That
I do love how just how blatantly honest they'll be with you from time
oh,
to
I know, and it's entertaining. It's great. I
Just no
love it.
filter.
Oh, and and I that's why I said when I was reading that in some of the articles, I was like, that is a interesting concept and idea to
Yeah.
do that, especially because it allows you to just get a completely different point of view,
Oh, absolutely.
because well, maybe nowadays not so much true, but like in the past, let's say, a 4-year-old, they're not necessarily going to have a favorite style of music in the past. Maybe now they might nowadays,
That's all whatever's on Fortnite.
especially with an uncle like Aaron over here.
Oh gosh, that's funny because
What?
there was times where they're like, yeah, like they enjoyed the metal, and then they just started making fun of it, and all they like to listen to is this stupid Fortnite raps or not raps about Fortnite, but the songs that are on Fortnite or whatever.
They like
Just
to listen to the Fortnite soundtrack.
basically, and I'm just like,
I
what?
I find it funny that they're now making fun of your metal. Even your older nephew.
Yeah, stupid.
Oh, that is entertainment to my soul right there.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing is, which I understand, is mostly it's the screaming and whatever. And, okay, but then what do you have to say when it comes to your silly mumble rappy stuff? And it just makes me angry.
I think you're gonna go on world tour with that just now.
Yeah. I don't even know what I just said. It can mean whatever it means to you, and it means whatever it means to me.
And now Aaron's canceled.
Dang it.
All right.
The sellout.
So let me ask this to you, Aaron,
Yeah.
because I want to know if you know this.
Probably don't.
I know this is kind of mean because it's kind of putting you on
Great.
the spot and seeing how your emotional intelligence is.
Bad.
When does it? I guess not. When does it? What are some signs that kind of self criticism has gone from just being a healthy self criticism, healthy correctional utility, when it's gone from that to an unhealthy self hatred? What are some like signs of that? Yeah.
Well, I guess an easy one is when you stop taking care of yourself.
Okay. Well,
The whole letting yourself go.
that's an external sign. Maybe
Yeah.
what are some internal signs? Like what are some?
Well, I guess because wouldn't the internal eventually kind of show up on the external? But that's also probably when it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are maybe some earlier indicators? Like what are some things?
I mean, negative comments.
Negative
If you
comments?
hear about oneself.
Okay. So let me give you an example then.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all or nothing thinking. So what this means is that either based on what your current emotional state is or whatever is happening right now, going on with you right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either your life is all good or your life is all bad. There's no, hey, these
In
things are
between.
good going on, these things are bad going on, not optimal. It's either you're kind of flipping between the two. Like, oh, I'm having a barbacoa burrito. Life is great. My entire life is great. And then you flip over to, I don't know, Josh is running late. All life just sucks. I hate life. I don't want,
So that's like a sign of being overly critical.
That's when it's moved
Or-
from that, the healthy, like, hey, you know what? I'm not as good as this as I think I am. I should work on it more,
Mhm.
to I hate myself.
This just sucks. Life
Yeah.
can't get any worse than this.
Yeah. Or,
Mm.
you're playing another example of this, right? Your life is going well, and then you're playing an instrument of any sort, drum, guitar, bass, whatever. You hit a sour note. Oh, you stupid idiot. How could you do that? Your life is just,
Dude, oh man. Oh.
What?
Yeah. Man, I'm just thinking of all the back in the day when I actually used to practice drums a lot, and the amount of times I had to throw my sticks and just got so angry and gave up for a while.
Yeah,
Ugh,
but
there's a lot of times.
But you did that, right? But
Yeah.
it didn't mean that your entire life was sucking at that time.
It depends.
It was. Oh, it depended, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes it wasn't that bad, and like I would, well, that was more. I don't know. There was definitely a couple times where it's just like, you know what, I can't do this. I don't want to have anything to do with anything. This is stupid. Life's stupid. Bah. But that's just when I was being very dumb and dramatic.
Yeah, and you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And that does happen once in a while. I'm
Yeah,
talking
it's
where
kind of inevitable.
it's like everything is either good or bad. There's no like in between.
Yeah.
Another indication that maybe it's gone too far is when literally your entire day gets ruined. Like you're having the best day of your life,
And then one thing just sets it off.
and you
One-
only focus on that one negative thing. You might have just won the lottery this morning, but you just stubbed your toe. And therefore your entire life is ruined now because you just stubbed your toe, regardless of the fact that you just won
the lottery.
this morning. And obviously that's an extreme
That is
example.
right. Yeah.
But
if anybody was that upset about a stub toe versus winning the lottery, you got some problems.
but that is an indication that you're being way overcritical on yourself in thinking about these things. Maybe a little too much. You're not exactly allowing yourself to love yourself in a way. You're being very negative. You're being very critical. You're hating yourself. Um, you know, Another thing that they say that is more indicating that's going too far is what they call emotional reasoning. Do you have any idea what that is?
It's just I don't know why this is the first thing that comes to my head, but it's like you're just reacting to a situation based on how you're feeling in the moment.
Okay.
And then depending on how you react is based on what you're feeling emotionally, and that's what your reason is for doing what you did.
Okay, I could see where you'd come with that conclusion. You're pretty close.
Dang, I'm kind of surprised. All right, what is it?
So what it is where you take your feelings as facts.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
If for whatever reason, you're feeling bad or you're feeling like a failure, because maybe you just screwed up on an instrument solo.
Right.
All of a sudden, now that feeling is now a fact. You are a failure.
I suck.
And
I'm the
you're not
worst.
able to separate the fact from that this is an emotion. This is a reaction to what just happened. Yeah, okay, you screwed up. Whereas if you're working kind of in that healthy area, you can go, yeah, I just screwed something up. That sucks. Let's continue on.
Right.
I'm not a failure just because that happened.
It's where you just you make the one mistake and then you just toss in the towel and call it quits. That's it.
Yep.
Never gonna get better from that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes a lot more sense. Because I feel like there's definitely a lot of people that just react of how they're feeling and react to. Well, obviously everybody reacts to situations for the most part based on how they're feeling.
Yep.
I feel like that's a pretty common thing, which isn't necessarily the best thing, but it happens.
Yeah.
We're human.
So other symptoms, that it's gone a little too far, right? You're always seeking approval from others. You can't be like, oh yeah, you know what? I did this great and I did fine on this. You have to be like, did I do
Did I
fine on
do
this?
okay?
And you always have to have someone else.
How do you think I did?
Yeah,
How do you think I
exactly.
did on that?
And then depending on that approval or disapproval, like again, you go to the 4-year-old, right? Depending on what their reaction is, you then make that your self-worth. If the 4-year-old says, that's awesome, you're like, yes, I'm awesome. If the 4-year-old goes, that sucks, you go, I suck.
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I like how you're kind of. Well, I don't know why, but like I'm thinking of it as both sides of the spectrum, where you can either be way too positive about it, or I guess where that gets into the whole like fool yourself kind of thoughts or whatever, or the very opposite of it.
Right.
With that, that's I was just going into this first thinking about how much I just hate myself.
So other things that, they say, can't accept a compliment. You're like, oh no, they're just being nice about that. They're just being nice.
Right.
Why did you laugh like that?
There's definitely times where I feel like that's me at depending on what I'm
I
doing.
and I think we all are.
Very
We all
yeah.
have that at times.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. Is it a majority of the time, or is it just a
Right.
once in a while thing? Because, we're all gonna be guilty of some of these things once in a while.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden like, "Hey, I need to go see a psychologist." Well, it's always good to
I
go
need
see a
help.
therapist. I would encourage anyone to do that,
Mhm.
regardless, because you'll find some stuff in there that you didn't think was gonna be a part of that, and then you go,
Mm.
"Oh, and now we're delving into this. Okay, I didn't realize we were gonna do this."
True.
And
Yeah.
you'll go and be like, "Ah, there's nothing wrong with me," and you'll,
Mhm.
10
There's so much wrong
10
with
sessions
me.
later, you'll be like, "I'm such a screw up."
Look what I've done.
Yeah, but, it you know, this one I see in you, though.
Oh, great. I'm scared to hear this one.
And this one, I'm not saying you hate yourself, okay? I
Uh-huh.
just find it funny that this is on the
You're
list.
just being nice. That's all it is.
No, it's definitely not.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I just find it funny that's on the list. Fearful of positive connections. You may push away friends or potential partners out of fear when someone gets too close and believe they'll end badly or you will end up alone.
What the heck, man? So
I love the squirming reaction. That's just I don't
That's
and I
funny.
can be wrong, okay?
Right.
But from my observation, I don't think,
Mhm.
it's because you hate yourself, but I just find it funny that that's just how you are.
How I just act.
Yep, that's the millennial in you.
Oh, great. Something had to stick with me that was millennial, I
Yep.
guess. Dang nabbit.
Hard on yourself, you make a mistake,
Yeah.
you have a very hard time forgiving yourself.
Hmm.
This one's me. This one I will admit. Cynical viewpoint. I can be very cynical at times.
Yeah.
It's just
Mm.
I will admit that fully. I have a very cynical, very sarcastic viewpoint,
Mhm.
and things can be oh so bright and sunny outside, and I'll see the one little dark speck and I'll go, "Up, there goes life."
It's all downhill from here.
And I have to be very careful of that on my own part, and I
Yeah.
have to monitor that, and I have to catch myself when that happens, and I have to literally there'll be times when I'll catch myself doing that. I'll have to say in my own head, "Paul, it's okay. Life is okay.
Right.
Something bad happened. That doesn't define your entire life existence right now." And I'll have to just pull back, stop myself, and walk myself through it. There are certain situations where I have to walk my own brain through these things because
Mhm.
otherwise I will get stuck in them so hard, and it's so easy to go back right to that self-spiraling inner circle of darkness that I call it.
Huh.
And I have to stop myself from getting on that slide because once you're on that slide, it's hard to get off.
Yeah.
And so it's like, do not want to do that.
Climbing up a slide is rather difficult.
Yeah.
It can be, at least.
Well, depending.
More often than not.
I don't think you.
Mhm.
I think you're too young to remember this. Um, I don't know when you're younger if your mom would take you to parks and all that all the time with like swing sets and slides and all that. I remember going and we had like this huge, big, wide slide,
Mhm. The
that
big
w
metal, like a big metal one?
big metal slide, and during the middle of summer in North Carolina, it would get toasty, and it would
And it just like burns.
and it would feel like you're being cooked as alive as you slide down.
We had we had a slide like that at my old like elementary school. I Dang, all the times I go by that, I wonder if I don't even look to see if it's there anymore. But yeah, it was just this giant, like shiny, like chrome looking
Yeah.
wide slide. And yeah, on a hot day, as soon as you put your hand on this, like your hand just got burnt.
Like, nowadays, I would love to go by and be like, crack a couple eggs on and be like, "Can I cook the eggs on it?" And be like, "And I went down this as a kid. Oh boy."
Yep. It's funny to see like some of the things that you do as kids, and it's like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that, and I'm still here right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. And we're not going to talk about like what are some of the causes, of well, I shouldn't say in depth over some of the causes of some of these things.
Mm,
Some of the things that you are kind of common, right?
mhm.
Mental health condition that can definitely cause that real easily, or it could be
Just like this, you're talking like the whole self-hatred and
yeah,
stuff, and
self-hatred thing, negative childhood experiences,
mhm.
where were you growing up in an abusive relationship, where your parents, something happened there, neglect, being over controlled, being criticized all the time, you know,
Over controlled. Hmm.
yeah, helicopter parents, yep,
Mm.
uh, body,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Like if I'm being honest, like some of those,
Yeah.
for me came. And I'm not saying abuse or neglect or anything like that,
Yeah.
but came from some of my childhood experiences. For me, you know, example like anytime I did something good, it was always now don't be cocky about it. You have to
Right.
be humble about it. And I'm like, but I just did something good. Can't I celebrate?
Can I
So
get a
always being I was
cookie?
always being criticized externally, and I'd learned to internalize that
Mm,
criticism to the extreme. Not good.
right.
Bullying, that could also happen when, especially
Oh,
with the
yeah.
kids. Traumatic
Mhm.
events, hey, losing your dad at 14 while holding his hand. That's a traumatic event that
Mhm.
alters your brain quite a bit.
Yeah.
Other stuff like that, you know, it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of things that happens that could cause it. So it's not necessarily something that's just like, hey, look, here's a simple solution on how this happens. Now here's how to fix it. It could be anything. And it could
Right.
come at any stage of life too. You know,
Yeah.
and obviously it's going to seem a little more common in teenagers. 'Cause teenagers seem to be a little more emo regardless of the fact.
Yeah, right. Got a
But
lot more to, process
well, yeah, they
to a
always
point. Well, yeah. It And that's, like, one funny thing, and I feel kinda bad knowing that, especially, like, I've done it, but, I mean, at the same time, it's true. But, when you're growing up, and especially with the teenage when they're in their well, just, I guess kids throughout until and through, I guess, their teenage years, was it whatever the developmental years are. I'm just trying to think of, when they're expressing things that are, oh, they're super difficult for them and all this other stuff. And then you have the people that are older and stuff like that. Tom was like, "Oh, you don't know anything yet," and they just kind of like belittle
Mhm.
what's going on in their life for where they're at in the moment. I can see that being kind of bad to do because it's like, yes, you've already been there, been done through that, and you've experienced a lot more in life that has been much more difficult on a scale of comparing it from what you dealt with as a kid. But to the kid, that's all they know yet. So when you're just like, "Oh, you don't know anything yet," like, they ain't bad. It's kinda like, "Hmm, I could see that." And because granted, yes, it's true, but then there's probably better ways you can go about. Uh, I guess you could say comforting a child or kid or whatever.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I can see how that would be very, potentially damaging. And, well, that would just I mean, I would imagine that would cause a kid to become very jaded. I guess not, I wouldn't say unforgiving, but, what's un there well, they have no sympathy for other people then at some point because they were always told, "Oh, just wait until you get older and wait till real problems start to happen," and all this other stuff. It's like, that make me sad.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I know I've been guilty of doing that. Especially to the nephews, just like, like, "Oh, this is so difficult." I'm like, "You don't know difficult yet."
Oh, I know.
I don't know difficult yet, shoot.
I know. So, okay.
So,
So
yeah.
as we're getting closer to, the end here, wrapping this up
Mhm.
here,
Oh, sure.
maybe what are some things okay, let me ask this from your perspective.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna ask Aaron's perspective on this
What
first,
do I
and
hate
then
about myself? What?
and no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's up to you. That's your
Okay.
secret, okay? That's stuff you have to work on, okay?
Oh, I know, yeah, absolutely.
But no, what I was gonna ask is, what are
because we've all experienced this to some extent, hopefully not to the ultimate extreme where it leads to depression and other things, you know.
Uh-huh.
But we've all experienced it to some extent. This idea of self-loathing, self-hatred, self-emoing.
Emoing, yes.
Um, what are some tools or methods that you, Mr. Johnson, have utilized in the past to combat some of this?
Man, there's a lot of things.
Okay.
Um, which I would say music, but then that could also be a very easy one to do the opposite of helping. Um,
Okay.
because in that moment, I can choose to either listen to something that's gonna build me up, or I can listen to something that's just gonna make me feel worse. So, with that being said, I mean, going to music probably isn't always the best or hasn't been the best because it's easy. Well, I mean, when I'm ever in that kind of mindset or whatever, I'm not going to want to listen to something that's going to be encouraging or uplifting
Mhm.
to some point. It's going to be like, I'll try and listen to it and be like, nah, this is stupid. And then just go to whatever else I want to listen to. So I would say probably more so some of the biggest things is one talking to a friend.
Okay.
And well, and then, but then you can always have the people that they don't take one compliments or, and that's always like the tricky thing because like when you're in such a negative mindset, your friends can say something nice or uplifting, encouraging, whatever to you,
Mhm.
and you can also just be super dismissive of it and just shrug it off. But I guess in that, but to the same extent, when you hear something repeated time and time again, especially that's encouraging or uplifting, it's like, oh, maybe I'm just being stupid about this.
Right. You know, and on that note there, right?
Hmm.
And I've said this statement to someone else recently as well, because I know that they were going through something,
Hmm.
and I know what I knew what their self thought cycle was, and their self cycle thought was that they were a failure about
Hmm.
something specific. And I went up to them and I said, "I know you think this, but you're not a failure."
Hmm.
And I said, "And I also know me saying this once is not a cure all, is not a fix all, is not gonna make you go, 'Oh, someone said it, I am not a failure.'"
Haha.
I said, "What I'm trying to do here is pump the brakes a little bit on that negative self cycle.
Hmm.
It might do it just a little bit, just a little, to allow you enough time to rally in other ways, you know." And I was like, "I know this isn't gonna be a quick, like you were saying, you know, a quick fix. It takes that
Hmm.
repetition over and over."
Yeah.
And that is true.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I just wanted to
Oh
emphasize
yeah.
that a little bit. That yeah,
Right.
you're right there. It's not going to be a simple, "Hey, everything's fixed because someone came along and said it." But
Somebody said something
it's
good.
one of those things of like music that you get better with repetition. Your mental health also changes with repetition, bo- both internally and externally.
Mm.
All right.
Uh-huh.
What other tools have you used then?
With this one, it probably won't come to a shock, at least to you. Obviously, spending time in, well, you, yes, in the Bible, the good old Bible,
Hmm.
but more so, it's, I guess, also like being having, including in that prayer and just spending time with God and whatnot. Um, which, man, yeah, that's probably definitely one of the biggest. And the reason I guess I don't like bringing it up in this manner, I don't know why, but is I always always hear, people always go, well, not always, but will tend to go to God during tough times and stuff like that. But then as soon as everything's good, it's like, man, drop it. I'm doing fine. I'm good on my own right now.
Mm-hmm.
I always never wanted to think of myself as one of those people, because it's like I hate the thought of thinking that, oh, I only just go to God during hard times. Like I like whenever, well, I shouldn't again. So when there's definitely times when things are going great where I'm just like super thankful, like, woo! Thank you, Lord, kind of
Yep.
thing. But it's to look back on, it's like, man, you do that a lot more than you realize you do. Where it's just like as soon as things get tough, be like, whoa, what's going on? Help me. Da, da, da. And I guess I realize how, like, to a point, like selfish I can be, and always just like help, 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 gimme, 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 gimme to God kind of thing. Where I just focus on what can what can I ask for of Him to help me with something.
Hmm.
And I've come to realize like that you do that probably quite a bit, don't you, there, bud? I'm like,
I think a lot of us are guilty of that.
yeah, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, especially in like America and stuff like that, especially with how even for those that don't have it good in our eyes as Americans here in the country,
Mm-hmm.
there's still it's still much better compared to other places. And then yet you still have people that are super grateful and thankful and much more, I guess, strong in their faith and relationship with Christ and God than we silly Americans can be.
We got it easy in America.
We,
It's way too easy.
so easy. So no, yeah, I guess yeah, with my like faith and stuff like that, and this the spiritual aspect of things. It's going to the Bible, spending time with God, and it's also having those friends that obviously share the same values and beliefs and stuff like that. That are the closest, most knit group of friends, I suppose. Gosh, other than that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, games can be a thing from time to time,
Yeah, but the games are
but
in games like music.
can be good and bad.
Yeah, they can be good and bad, but they can also be temporary band-aids.
Right,
Not
right. It's just a distraction
it's a
from
distraction. It's not how do
N-
you resolve this issue,
mhm.
you know?
And I guess, yeah, to think it's again, yeah, it's really in which it's hard to do, but it's where you slow down, try and think about what's going on instead of just, I guess, just reacting quickly to everything based off your emotions. It's sit back, take it all in. Then when I feel like I can say this rather often, but it's being honest.
Mhm.
And then again, that's the thing where if it's hard for you to take that step back and try and look at everything, that's where it's best to have a friend to talk with you through it that can kind of help guide you through some mental processes and just thoughts and truths and stuff like that. Because yeah, it is so easy to just rip yourself apart when you're in a bad mindset.
Yeah, and especially if you start down that path of really kinda hating yourself, being more than just a critic,
Hmm.
it really becomes easy for you to
Hmm.
really just tear yourself apart so easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Okay.
there's yeah, I'm sure there's probably plenty more things to do. Like I, as much as I'd like to be able to do it and be consistent and disciplined enough to do it, I know things that I guess I've been told that can kind of help with stuff is just being uh healthy, which there's healthy in many things. Well, there can be, yeah, mentally, and but I guess I'm thinking at the moment is physically.
Okay.
and taking care of yourself in that manner. Because, man, it's easy to let yourself go in that way where it's just like do nothing, indulge yourself in all the goodies, and then just watch your health just going plummeting down, just getting worse and worse and worse. And then you're huffing and puffing while you're trying to walk up the stairs. Okay, I'm not at that spot with myself. But
That's
I
good.
mean, eventually that could be where it gets to when I get older. And it's like, oh, I really got to start doing stuff now.
Yeah.
And that's where I think for me, that's one thing that, like, whenever I try and start something, whether it be a diet or exercise, well, both is good to do and be do well. Um, as soon as that starts to decline and I get away from it, it's so quick to be like, ah, you can't do it. You're no good with this. And then yeah, that's
There's that negative self-talk in there.
yeah. So
All right.
yeah, taking care of yourself physically can be a helper with that too. Um, man, just sleep, getting good amounts of sleep.
Sleep is so important.
Yeah.
For
Wow.
for any mental health issue,
Yes.
but including this, well, not even just sleep, rest.
Right. That too.
Utilizing the magic word no.
What? Just kidding. I can use that. I've used it a couple times. All right.
I know. I almost fell out of my chair in shock when Aaron said he actually said no to some people on some things. I was like, wait, what?
You're joking. You're lying to
Yep.
me.
But rest, sleep, real good things. Anything else that you utilize?
Uh, not, uh, not that I can really think of off the top of my head at the
Okay.
moment. Those have been the biggest ones.
And most of those are ones I've used as well personally.
Mhm.
Okay. From and I'm using, various sites, resources and that, as well as things that I learned in therapy. First off, therapy. That's a great one. That's a great
Mm.
resource. If you're dealing with
Mhm.
that self-hatred, therapy, great. Even if you're not, go to therapy. Just go.
Just
Most insurance plans will cover it. So you can
really.
go and, you might have a small copay or a small deductible, but you can go and you can talk with a therapist that you trust for, half hour or whatever and at a time, and that might be like a biweekly or a monthly thing or whatever you need between you and your therapist and set that up and have someone that can be completely objective because they're outside of your social circles, they're outside of your normal everyday things, and they can provide an objective framework to whatever's going on that you want to discuss with them and talk about and work on.
Mm.
And it's great because they can be brutally honest with you. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'm paying them. So why would they want to be mean on purpose? It's like they want me to come back. They want, so, and
Right.
sometimes we need that brutal honesty.
Mhm.
Things that, some things from the side, some things that my therapist even recommend, journal. I know me and you have talked about that
Oh.
before, journaling,
Mhm.
is specifically looking at it from a perspective of that how is your emotional state changing over time in this regard? You know, are you always a kind of in this negative foul mood? Are you kind of like every day is a little bit different? You can kind of notice trends on things when you journal and you can look back and you can be like, oh yeah, wow, okay, I was a little bit of sassy McSassy back then. you know,
Uh-huh.
but it also helps you figure out by doing that and journaling, it helps you kind of sort through your own mind and your own thoughts a little bit, but it also helps you maybe find a history. Like, are you always going to be, real down on yourself, real self hatred on yourself? And that, are you always going to have that maybe when a certain relative's in town, or something like
Right.
that? It's like, oh, okay. Well, when my uncle comes around, that always causes a trigger. Okay, now I know he's coming. I need to take precautions to do this. Maybe there was some
Yeah.
conflict in the family in the past, something, who knows, whatever it is, right? Another thing, and this one I learned from when I was an inpatient, is when you have that own like self-critic thing, like you're an idiot, you're a loser, you're failing at this. And it might be something stupid simple that I messed up on, and that starts me down that path of, just being more than the self-critic, the self-hatred, like
Mhm.
you it's like just doing that. And this sounds weird. You have to talk back to yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I've had to walk myself off the kind of like that ledge of saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, Paul, you know what? You screwed up on this. That's fine. You're going to get through it. It was an accident. Things happen. No one got injured. No one got hurt. We will continue moving forward and life will move on from here,
Mhm.
even though you made this mistake." And you sometimes have to talk back to yourself in that regard and get over the fact of what it is. And that takes time, that takes practice, and it's a little weird having a three-way conversation with yourself in your head.
Right.
Because you have well, at least for me, I have my normal talky voice over here, my negative voice, and then my positive voice that has to talk back against the negative voice. It's like, "Oh, great. Am I having a split personality now too?"
Right. Yeah.
I know I'm not, but and I'm not trying to make light of the fact of that for
That's
people
real.
that
Yeah.
have that issue, but at the same time, it's like, really, I have 3 different conversations going on in my head. Great.
Mhm.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. So,
So much fun.
yeah, one of the ones that I'd liked on your list that you had, spend time with people who are gonna be positive, who are gonna lift you up, who are gonna
Mhm.
help you out on things. That's a great thing to do in there as well. Other things you can do is what they call practice self-compassion, right?
Mm.
So, in our words, instead of looking back at your day and only focusing on the negative things,
What
like,
what could happen today?
you look back into things and be like, "What good," yeah, exactly, "What good was happening there?" And what that does is it allows you to look at the day holistically.
Mhm.
It allows you to look back on everything that did happen and not just see those negative, bad things. Because if you only remember and see those negative, bad things, that's the only thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you're gonna focus on.
Yeah.
Are things I recommend, like you said, take care of yourself, get sleep, get rest, do those things. And it's like, all right, cool. And these are those are some very simple things, but I think a lot of it stems from also see a therapist. you know, talk
Yeah.
to someone that you can trust and do that and get better because the outcome of not dealing with that, right? The when I say the outcome of not dealing with, your self-hatred, just like any other mental health disease, you know, you might start engaging in self-destructive behaviors. You might stop trying to do things at all. You might stop
Right.
trying to do things you like, new things. Um, you might just out of, I guess, negative habit, kind of drop your friend base and then choose a new friend base that is kind of toxic.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it kind of makes you hinder yourself from, I guess, moving forward in
right?
life.
You doubt what you can accomplish.
Mhm. Which then, yeah, it just ends up being well, yeah, I guess downward spiral and just doesn't go anywhere good.
Yep.
So,
And and then you may feel though you don't belong anywhere,
mhm.
which then can lead to more things going wrong, depression,
Mhm.
suicidal tendencies, and that all that. So
Can get destructive quick.
yeah. So, when people say I hate myself, a lot of the time we're talking about something stupid we might have just done and we're, kicking ourselves real lightly about it. But sometimes for some people it really is a very destructive, a very bad thing for them.
Mhm. Where they literally mean it. It's
Exactly.
not just yeah, like you said, "Oh, I messed up. I did something dumb."
Yep.
No. Yeah.
And so be careful of that for yourself and for others that you know. And obviously, If you think it's something that's very serious, more than just, negative self-talking, like where you're afraid that someone's gonna hurt themselves. Um, you so you are aware you can always call 911, right? Get
Mhm.
help and all that. Now there is a new national number as well, just FYI. Are you aware of this, Mr. Johnson? Okay. 988 is the new nationwide number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So
Oh,
you before you had to dial, 1-800 blah 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 blah. Now you literally just have to dial 988 from any phone.
wow. That's cool.
They made some changes recently, like in Southeast Wisconsin. Before you could dial a number that was in the 262 or 414 area code and not have to append the area code and call them, and it
Mhm.
would route to them. But because of this change, now you actually have to append the area code.
Hmm.
Because this might have been before you were old enough to recognize what was going on. You were born,
Yeah.
but all of Southeast Wisconsin used to be 414. 262 wasn't an area code. It was a relatively new area code, like 99,
Oh.
2000. Like my mom's landline used to be a 414 number, and it
Whoa.
got changed to a 262 number because of where she's at. That's why they made some changes in that, and that's why they now have a 988 number nationwide. So if you do know someone who's maybe a little bit more than, the self-negative hatred thinking thing, and where you're like, "Uh-oh, they might do something." 988.
Hmm.
Short, simple, sweet, and get you right to the people that you need and get you the help that you need. So that's good to know.
Mhm.
As we wrap up here, any more comments, thoughts, or Johnsonese, Aaronese things in the world that he wisdom you want to impart on us?
Get help.
Is that
If
it?
you well, I mean, if you need it.
Get
But,
help
well,
if you
I
need
guess
it.
don't be shouldn't say just don't be afraid to ask for it.
All right.
Because everybody needs help along the way at some point, so
Especially if your name is Aaron.
Mm.